Hey everyone, it's Susan from InnerTeenment News, and I'm here to tell you about a very special movie coming your way Sunday, November 28th at 8 p.m. on the CW network. It's called The Waltons Homecomin, and this is a film the whole family can enjoy. In this segment, we talk with Marcelle LeBlanc and Tatum Matthews, who play Mary Ellen and Erin Walton. I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from these rising talents. They give us a lot of information about their characters and some very special behind the scenes information. Stay tuned after Marcelle and Tatum's interview to hear a very special story from me about how the original Waltons was important to my family.
Okay, so I started in professional theater when I was 7, and then about 2 years ago got into film. And if you asked me which one I had to pick, I couldn't, because I really do love both equally. Before this, I just did some independence. I'm working on a feature film that we just wrapped up on filming, and yeah.
Amazing. Marcelle, how about you?
I kind of got involved in the entertainment industry on accident. Growing up, I was really not the person I am today, for the worse. I was really shy and quiet. I lacked a lot of self-confidence, and I know it's a cliche line, but I kind of struggled to fit in school. And I never knew why, because I poured my all into wanting to make friends and to be there for people, but that was just never reciprocated towards me. And I never knew why until I got involved in community theater. I got started in community theater just like Tatum. It was recommended by a family friend that I get involved because he was like, theater kids, actor kids, they are just different. They are more so accepting and loving. And I really feel like Marcelle will find her place there. So I auditioned for a community theater production of Annie on a whim. And I was fully not expecting anything. I had never done anything in my life. I remember sitting in the audition and there was a girl in front of me talking about a Broadway intensive she had just finished. And I had taken my headshot in my best friend's living room. So the two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. And I wound up getting the role of Annie. And I was so incredibly shocked because I had never done anything before. So I found an acting coach in Birmingham that helped me get ready for the role. But I really fell in love with the community and the theater and the arts, because just like my mom's friend had said, they was just so much more of a loving and accepting, creative environment where I felt like it fostered in me to love myself and to grow as a person and accept who I was. And now I realize that's why I struggled to fit in so much in school, because I was trying to suppress so much of who I was to fit this ideal of what I thought other people wanted me to be, when in reality, I just needed to accept who I was. And that's why I'm so grateful I found this industry, because it really helped me blossom into who I am today.
That's amazing. Well, you guys, can you remember the first time you heard about this, maybe through your agency, or how do you hear about the audition, and what your audition process was?
So for me, I remember getting the audition. My agent sent it to me in an email. She was like, hey, just kind of like every audition, she was like, hey, you have an audition due. I was like, great. So I looked at it. I was like, Mom, this sounds really familiar. Why does this sound familiar? And she looked at it and she started freaking out. She was like, this is the Waltons. This is the Waltons. And I was like, what? And she was like, then she looked at me, she was like, good night, John Boy. And I was like, that show? And I started freaking out just as much as she was. I was so excited that I was getting to audition for it. And I remember I was so ecstatic when I got the call back, and our amazing director, Lev Spiro, and the casting director from Atlanta, Chase Paris, were on the call with me. And I have known Chase for years, so it was really exciting to see his face. And then at the very end of the audition, Lev looked at me and was like, I'm not supposed to do this, but you are Mary Ellen. And I remember I tried so hard to compose myself. I was like, thank you so much. I'm so excited to work with you. And then I got off the call and looked at my mom and started jumping up and down. I was so excited. I was like, Mom, I'm going to be Mary Ellen. And it was so exciting.
Amazing. What was your process like?
For me, I got it the same way through my agent, just a normal audition. And then I looked at it and was like, okay, they're from the South in Virginia. And I hadn't heard the Waltons just because it's not only like my generation, I guess. And then I just did a self-tape and did 2 scenes, I think. And then I got a call back, and it was over Zoom with the director and casting director. And they were just so much fun. I was like, I love these people. I was like, I love to get this. And it went pretty well. And then I wasn't like really expecting anything. And then I got it and I was really excited. And then I watched the series, like season 1, a little of season 2, and fell in love with the show. It's just a really big honor to be able to do it.
And without giving too much away, and we'll go ahead and start with you, Tatum, how would you describe the special?
Well, it's very similar to the original. It's all about family through a tough time and just all about love. And that's what brings it together, which I think is really needed in the world right now. And it's a really good message to put out there.
How about you, Marcelle? What would you tell people about the special?
Yeah, I think kind of similar to what Tatum said, it is very similar to the original script. I remember actually talking to Judy Norton, the original Mary Ellen, at the premiere, and our audition scenes were the same. So 50 years ago, she auditioned with the walnut cracking scene, and 50 years later, I auditioned with the walnut cracking scene. So there is a lot of those similarities between the original Homecoming and ours, but there definitely are some liberties that we took in wanting to make it our own, which is really special. And I thought what was really great about that was in the creative process. I remember on our rehearsal day, the creative team sat us down. It was like, as iconic as this show is, if you haven't already seen the Waltons, wait until after we wrap, because we want to make sure that you guys are preserving as much of your own versions of these characters as possible, which I thought was really incredible because they were really fostering such a creative environment. But this movie is such a feel-good movie. I mean, you would just fall in love with every single character that you watch on screen, and you'll cry from beginning to end. I did. I've seen it 3 times, and for whatever reason, I cry harder every time. I mean, it's such a needed message right now of family and love and acceptance and equality. I mean, everything that goes into this movie is so needed right now.
And you both just touched on this just a tiny bit. Once you found out you got the role, before you even show up for that first meeting, how did you put your characters together? Did you wait till you got the whole script and met with everybody? Did you start doing a little research? Like, Marcelle, how did you start putting Mary Ellen together?
What was really great about the character of Mary Ellen is that I felt like she was a lot of me, and there was a lot of things about Mary Ellen that I identified with in my real life. And I mean, that was my dog. I apologize.
He had okay.
She's a very strong-willed character, and she knows exactly who she is, and she is not apologetic about it. And what I really love about her is a lot of who Mary Ellen is and a lot of the ideals that she has and a lot of the things that she wants to aspire, especially in 1933, were considered more of a man's thing. Mary Ellen wants to be a pilot. That is not a man's thing in 1933. But Mary Ellen doesn't care. That doesn't matter that she's a woman. She's never going to let that hold her back. And then at the end of the movie, you'll see where that takes her later in her life. But Mary Ellen is a very fierce fighter. She is a strong-willed character, and she's fierce about the people that she loves. So I feel like that helped in the character development process for Mary Ellen, because I felt like I just got to play a lot of myself.
That's amazing. Tatum, how about putting Erin together?
Very similar to Marcelle. The character is very much like me. She's a girly girl and is obsessed with Hollywood actors and makeup and all the stuff that someone my age would be obsessed with. So it was actually pretty easy. And like I said, I watched season 1 and a little of season 2, and then got to the rehearsal and found out that I wasn't supposed to, but that was like my way of first researching it. But I'm glad I watched it because I got like a concept of it and realized what it was like, because I had no idea.
And I remember our first rehearsal, Tatum leaned over to me after Lev had asked us not to watch the series, and because Tatum sat right next to me. She leaned over to me. She goes, I already watched it. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. I just won't watch anymore.
I won't watch anymore.
Yeah. That's fine. Well, that actually leads right into my next question. You guys come onto a set with 6 kids all together and great adults. What were those first meetings like, and how long do you feel it took to start acting like a family? Go ahead, Tatum.
Okay. I mean, we all bonded really quickly. Like, we're immediately a one big happy family, and I don't feel like there was any like really time that we took to do it. We just kind of immediately all just bonded with each other, and yeah, it was a pretty quick process. We didn't really need much introduction. We just kind of learned about each other and knew that we were all going to be really good friends.
I mean, yeah,
So
I
what
mean,
was it like? Yeah, go ahead. Go
there
ahead.
was, I mean, there was really there was no period of like awkwardness, or there was none of that period of like awkward, like, what's your name? What's your favorite color? Where are you from? Like, there was none of that. Like, the second we all met on the first rehearsal day, it was just family. And it happened so instantly and organically. And I actually had the pleasure of working with Ben and Bellamy, who play our mom and dad, several years ago on a pilot. And Bellamy played my mom there as well, which was really special. And then Christian and I have been friends for several years and through mutual friends. And I've had him on Snapchat for years. So it was weird the first rehearsal day to be like, nice to meet you, question mark, because we've never met in person before, but I also know you. But I mean, instantaneously, we were all like best friends. And I still keep in touch with everybody most every day. And I mean, it's the environment that was fostered on that set was something truly, truly special. And I mean, I don't even have the words to describe what it was like, because in all of my years of working, I have never had an experience quite like the Waltons.
Can you guys think of anything? We'll start with you, Marcelle. From the kids, from the parents, from the cast and crew. Is there anything you learned on that set that you think you'll take with you into acting and into your life from other people?
I think that's something I would take away. Well, one, I'm gonna take an appreciation for working in cool weather, because that, I mean, I just needed after filming a Christmas movie in the humidity of Georgia, I will never take AC for granted again. That was something I will carry with me into every future project. But I really, taking away from this set, that's something I will carry on into future projects, is really just the love between the cast and how quickly and eager everybody was, whether that was cast or crew, to form bonds and relationships. And I mean, people would go out of their way to make everybody feel loved and accepted, and beyond just the acting aspect of it. I think that that's so important for future projects, because I mean, I know that anybody from the cast, whether they were 80 or 8, I could call, and in a moment's notice, they would be there for me. I mean, and I could tell that there was something I really loved about the set, is it didn't matter how old you were. Everybody was an equal, and there was no awkwardness of like Logan is 22 and Calloway is 8, but they were equals. Even like, it was just so special that everybody was on the same playing field, and there was nobody was ever talked down to or looked down upon because they were younger.
How about you, Tatum? Did you pick up any tips or lifelong things to take with you?
Definitely, I will say the AC thing. We would get back to our trailer after, I mean, it was like 100 degrees outside, and we would have like ice vest under our big winter coats. So we'll definitely take appreciation for that. But like, the cast and the crew were all so amazing, and just everyone on set, there was never a bad day. Everyone was always really positive. Got work done really quickly. Like, we were always just in and out and constantly doing things, which I really appreciated, because it was like, I just really like constantly being busy and working. And so that was kind of cool, and moving at such fast pace. Everyone just did a really good job, and it was an amazing experience.
One of the things that I thought was so amazing is how they made it 1930, 1933. And the detail that everybody went into, the wardrobe, the curtains, the tablecloths, everything, the props, everything. So can you guys talk about, did you research 1933? Did you try to learn about that time period, or did you just get into that environment? And what did you find was similar in 1930 that is similar to today, and what is completely different? So whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Good, Tatum, you could take it away first.
Okay, well, we definitely, let me think. Okay, we had a packet that Lev gave us, and it was about 1930 that time. And so I definitely did study that, but it was more of a thing of just grasping onto that time period and how to do it. And like you said, all the clothing and props and everything just kind of made it feel like that time. And I didn't have to study it too much to just get into that time period more. And Yeah, I'd say everyone did a really good job making it look like I was in that time period for it being 2021.
Yeah. How about you, Marcelle?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like really the best preparation that we could do for being in 1933 was showing up on set because it genuinely felt like a time machine. I mean, we showed up on set and it was all like the wardrobe, the setting, the house, the everything. Like you just immediately felt transported into 1933, which was so special. And there is a lot of similarities between, I mean, especially right now between 1933, Great Depression, and a time like now, especially after COVID, because I mean, in 1933, Great Depression, a lot of people were struggling to make ends meet and were struggling to find work, were dependent on their families, were relying on their families and spending a lot of time at home. And that's a lot of what a season we just came out of with COVID. A lot of us were trapped at home. A lot of us were struggling to find work. And it's so crazy to see that kind of parallel, especially with this movie coming out right now. And I think that's another reason why it's so needed, because coming out of such a season of loneliness, I think it's so special to be able to see such love and family on screen and portrayed like that. But I mean, obviously a big difference is the technology. I mean, there was just not a whole lot of technology in 1933. I remember them giving me, I remember the scene with Bellamy where we are peeling the potatoes. They gave me this, it took me like a good 5 minutes to figure out how to use it. I was what I'm doing. Because they gave me, I also was using a left-handed potato peeler and I'm right-handed. So that took extra time. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
And all Erin had to do was look at magazines. There was no internet. There was no
magazines were very interesting too.
Erin was like reading the chores. Mary Ellen was the brunt of it.
Yeah.
What's with that?
I didn't know until you just mentioned it was actually filmed in Georgia. And I didn't get a sense of where everyone was from, but it's sounding like maybe you guys are from different parts. So when you get to Georgia and you're on location, first of all, like how long did the actual project take? And second, what did you guys do for fun when you weren't filming?
Yeah. Sorry, I just completely blanked on the first half of that question.
That's okay. How long did it take to film the project, and what did you guys do for fun? Yes, that's okay.
So it took about 4 weeks to film. There were about 15 actual filming days, and it was, I mean, the best 15 days of my life. I had the greatest time, and I mean, for fun offset, there was a lot of adventures happening in downtown Covington. I would move to Covington, Georgia tomorrow. I love downtown Covington. I remember one of my favorite things that we did was one of my off days. I think it was a Sunday. Logan and I went axe throwing. There was like an axe throwing place in downtown Covington and we found it and I was like, okay, we're going. And we went and I got totally destroyed. I am not good at axe throwing. I am so bad at axe throwing. But I think there's a picture of the scoreboard somewhere and it will never be released anywhere because it makes me look like the most like talentless person in the world.
But you can cut down the Christmas tree. That's all you need is to be able to cut down the Christmas tree.
That's fair. Yeah. I cut down, at the end of the day, Mary Ellen won. She cut down the Christmas tree.
There you go. Tatum, what did you guys do for fun?
Yeah, so I was on the set for about 10 days, like actual long working days. And I just remember after every single day, they were very long days, and me and my mom would just go to dinner after and kind of explore that part of it. But my mom lived there for 11 years, so she knows that part pretty well. So we were able to go, and it's really cute down there, and it was really fun to explore them. And I think we were there for about a month, just kind of with costume fittings and everything there was. And it's really cool down there and also very hot.
Okay, I want to ask about your favorite scenes. Now, yesterday I got a lot about the breakfast with the biscuits and the grits, and I got the car scene.
Oh my gosh, who said their favorite scene was the car scene? Who said it?
It was such a good scene. There was a lot of background to it.
There was a lot of background to the car. That's why I'm curious to know who was like, oh, that was my favorite. We were all dying.
It was most memorable, maybe. Maybe it was their most memorable.
I will agree with most memorable. Yeah. That was a very memorable scene to film.
But what was your guys' favorite scenes?
Tatum, you go ahead.
Okay. I honestly would say the car scene. It was just the background of it. It was such a funny experience because we were all dying and cramped in that car. Like there were so many of us in this tiny little car with one little back seat and two seats in the front. And it was so funny. And I remember sitting on Christian's lap and we were just both sweating because there's no AC in the car back then. And every time they would say cut, we'd like roll out of the car and be like, okay, we need our fans. We need our fans. It was just really fun to film. And it was great to watch because you remember all those experiences and replay it.
Yeah.
I
Marcelle,
will
how
agree
about
with
you?
that one. Like, I will agree with the car scene being the most memorable. I remember
Yes.
we had to sing oh my gosh, what's the name of the song?
Uh,
Herald Angels Sing. Hark the
yeah.
Herald Angels Sing. And half of the people did not know the words. And I was like, this is a pretty familiar Christmas song. I have a video somewhere of Logan trying to learn the words to Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And it's like a decently long video. And I was like, this is really embarrassing. I think Finn didn't know a lot of the words. Christian did not know a lot of the words. Samuel did not. It was all the guys. All the guys did not know the words to Hark the Herald Angels Sing, which was very disappointing. But that was a really memorable scene to film. But I think another one of and I think that was really special because it was the first time that we all got to work as a family. So I think that made it really special because it was the first time that the 8 of us were getting to work together. And then another one of my favorite scenes to film was the potato peeling scene with Bellamy, because it was just so special to be able to, because I worked with her as my mom in 2017. So it was really crazy years later to go and have that dynamic with her again. And it was just such a special scene where I feel like Mary Ellen opens up and Olivia opens up. And it's really special because you get to see 2 completely different sides of those characters that weren't explored in the rest of the film.
That was a great scene. You gotta hope mothers and daughters have that tomorrow during Thanksgiving, right? Like somewhere down the line. Yes. Okay, this was a fun question. Aside from your own character, who was your other favorite character? Who would you have wanted to play, or who did you just really love watching aside from your own?
I have like a list. I don't know if I can narrow it down. I'll let Tatum go first. I need to work on narrowing my list down.
Okay. I'd probably say Grandpa. He was a very funny character and wise. And my favorite scene was, well, one of my favorite scenes was that dancing scene where I knock over, Jim Bob's stuff. But I was just talking to him like on the sides, and he did such a great job playing that character. But it's a really great character, and I don't know. I think it'd be fun to play.
Great. He had a lot of comic relief. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think, okay, I loved Jim Bob. Jim Bob is hilarious. And Samuel has such incredible comedic timing. And then, oh my goodness, Rebecca Kuhn as grandma is just genius. She is genius. And there's a good bit of her stuff that's ad-libbed. And I think one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie was when Charlie Sneed brings the turkey and he puts his hand on her to like talk to her, and she just gives this subtle look back at him, and I die laughing every single time. I mean, Rebecca Kuhn, she is brilliant, and I would love to take a Rebecca Kuhn acting class because I need to learn everything that she has to say. I mean, she's genius.
Well, what are your guys' plans for the holidays this year? And are you taking anything from your time on the Waltons into your new Christmas traditions?
This year the holidays, Thanksgiving being tomorrow, I'm driving down to my aunt and uncle's house, and we're going to spend Thanksgiving Day with them, which is super, super fun. And I think that actually for the Christmas this year, Bellamy, as her wrap gift for all of us, gave us Walton's Christmas tree ornaments. So I'm really excited to integrate that into our Christmas tree this year and have that. And I think that a lot of what the Waltons did has been integrated for years into my family as just togetherness and love and family dinners and decorating the tree and just really experiencing and loving that as a family. So I think that, this Christmas, I'm just looking forward to a lot of time with my loved ones.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, it definitely kind of gives you, once you're being in this, gave me like a whole different perspective on how they spend the holidays in such a hard time. And just the amount of love in that film is crazy. So I'll definitely take that to this Christmas. And Thanksgiving is tomorrow. We're spending it with our cousins and just family. I'm also doing Christmas Carol just because I love doing shows during the holidays. They're just fun to do and keeps you in the spirit.
That's amazing. Well, my last question to you guys is, why should viewers tune in to the Waltons Homecoming on Sunday?
Tatum, you want to go first?
First?
Go ahead, Tatum.
Because we've said this the entire time, but it's very needed right now, the amount of love in that movie and family during a hard time and just surviving on that, because we've been in such a hard time with so many ups and downs and uncertainty. And I think it's really great right now for this to come at this time. And so I think when people watch it, they'll walk out of it with a different perspective on just how these past year and a half, I guess now it's been, or something around that. And they'll just see that if this family can do that, we all can have a positive outlook on such a hard time. And with the amount of love in that, and that's all you really need to survive on. And that's what they did. So I think definitely that is something you can take away from it.
What do you think, Marcelle?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that people should watch the Waltons because it's so needed right now. And I know that there's a lot of hesitation with it being a reboot and a redo of such an incredibly classic and iconic series. I understand that, because if somebody told me tomorrow that they were remaking Parks and Rec with an entirely new cast, I would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Are you positive? Are you sure about that? So I totally understand apprehension about it, because for a lot of people, their Parks and Rec is the Waltons. So I understand that apprehension about it. But one, a lot of the original cast has already thrown their support behind our project after seeing it, which is so special. And I just think that we paid a lot of homage to the original. And I think that what we want people to know is we love the Waltons just as much as everybody else. And we did not take the task of recreating it lightly. We know just how iconic and loved it is, and we love it with that same amount. So we wanted to do our very best to make it special. And we saw that it was needed in a time right now, and it was so special to bring it back. And Sam Haskell did such an incredible job with seeing that it was needed right now and bringing it back, which is so incredible. And I'm just so grateful for the CW and Warner Brothers for seeing that in us. So now I'm just hopeful that audiences see that. And what I'm really excited for them to see is that bond, because I know we've touched on it, but the bonds you're seeing on screen are so authentic on and off screen. And these family bonds that you're watching, and this brotherly, sisterly love and arguing and hugs, and all of it is so real and authentic, because we genuinely were a family, and we still are a family. I consider everybody from that set my second family, and I just cannot wait for people to see that.
Hey guys, it's Susan, and I promised you the story of why the original Walton series was so important to my family. So here goes. My mom is a retired college professor now. However, in the 70s, she was part of the team that organized an Appalachian Arts Festival. And one year, that arts festival decided to honor the Waltons for their promotion of Appalachia in a good way. So Earl Hamner Jr., who created the Waltons, brought actors Richard Thomas and Will Greer to West Virginia to accept the award on behalf of all the Waltons. During that visit, Mr. Hamner asked my mom, can we go to Virginia and pick up my mother? So my mom drove them all to Virginia and got to see the mountain that inspired the actual series. So I think I have some pictures of that. I will probably post them on here somewhere for you guys to see. Now, later, Mr. Hamner came back to accept an honorary doctorate from the university. And it was during that visit that Mr. Hamner's back wasn't holding up so well. So instead of going to the fancy dinner that was planned for him that night, he asked my mom if he could come to her house and just have a burger or something. Okay, now at the time, my dad was out of town and the babysitter was home with 5 kids. My mom had no idea what the house looked like. She had no idea what they had in the freezer. But while Mr. Hamner was getting settled into the guest house, she called the babysitter and said, Earl Hamner wants to come to dinner, so can you find something to cook? And they put together an impromptu barbecue in our backyard. So the story goes, Mr. Hamner carried me around all night long. I was 2 years old at the time. And when he left, he said to my mother, if somebody told me I had 2 hours left to live, I would want to spend it with your Susan. Now that's the story. That's why the Waltons are so important to my family. and we loved the show. And I have to tell you, when I screened this movie ahead of these interviews with this amazing cast, I cried. I was hesitant because the Waltons was so important to us, but they knocked it out of the park. So congrats to this cast, this crew, for bringing the Waltons to a new generation. It's amazing. So don't forget to tune in Sunday, November 28th at 8 p.m. on the CW network for a Waltons Homecoming. And if you happen to miss it, the DVD will be available on December 14th. So if you want to pick it up just to watch it over and over and over again with your family, like I will, go ahead and grab the DVD, pre-order it. It'll be out December 14th. But thank you to the whole cast for talking with us, or the cast, and thank you guys, and have a good night.